Good morning. Well, I have been asked to help with the children's message today, and this story is coming from the book of Matthew. It's a book about the sower. I'm not talking about a sewer who puts buttons on a shirt or sews clothes with a sewing machine. I'm talking about a farmer or a gardener who puts out seed with the idea and hope of a garden or crops. I'm going to probably have some help today. My buddy Farmer Willow, my granddaughter, my favorite granddaughter right now, and her mom and dad, Ginger and Jeremy. By the way, they're master gardeners, so they're going to help me with this story. So I think I'll sit down here and start with this story here if I can. Farming is a lot of work. And being a gardener is a lot of work. Yeah, we get hot. We get thirsty. We get have to. Old man like me has to bend down and pick up things. We have to run the tiller. We got to use the hoe to get out weeds. We got to dig in the dirt. But there is a lot of satisfaction that comes to watching things grow, to watching things produce. Oh, and I love to eat, I should mention that. You can probably tell that I like to eat.
Willow, what are you eating?
Cucumber.
A cucumber.
So, this story has to do with the fact that I have some farming background. My great-grandfather was a farmer. My father was a farmer. I worked quite a few summers on the farm, and I like to garden, as I mentioned. So I've seen some good farmers, and I've seen some farmers that I didn't think were really very smart or were understanding of what it takes to be a good farmer. Well, here's this story. I'm sure it took place in Nebraska. This farmer was backing his tractor up to the planter. He has a bins on the back of the planter. He pours seed in, and then he is going to take his tractor and planter out to the fields.
You got it.
Well, I was watching this, and on the tractor there, he's got a lever, and he pulls this lever back, and seed will come out of the planters, out of the bins, and fall to the ground. And then he will push the lever forward, and that stops the seed. Well, before he even got out of his lane there to the farmhouse, it was gravel. You know what? He pulled that lever back, and grain fell out, or the seed fell out. And then he pulled the lever forward, stopped the seed. I scratched my head. What's that about? Then he got out on the highway. Oh, it was concrete, blacktop, and yeah, you know what? He pulled that lever back, seed fell out, he pulled the lever forward. Then he drove the tractor into the ditch there to get access to the field. That ditch was full of weeds, just chock full of them. Yeah, you know what he did. He pulled that lever back, and he pulled it forward. Then he got out into the fields, and he started planting. Oh, this field was beautiful. I mean, it didn't have a single weed in it. I'm sure he had it fertilized. He was ready for it to grow good things, a good crop. Well, I was scratching my head. I mean, I couldn't understand this other part where he was putting seed on the ground where it wasn't going to be very good growing. And so that night I stopped by his house. I wanted to find out what was he up to. So I asked him, and he said, Jay, he said, I want you to know that I'm a Bible reader. And I try to learn the lessons that the Bible has to offer. He said, I know that it wasn't probably the best thing to do is to put seed on the gravel, or on the concrete, or in the weeds. But he said, I also know that there's a lesson that I want to follow, and that is to plant seed wherever I go. And he said, I'm not necessarily always talking about seeds that produce crops. But I'm talking about the seeds that come from the lessons of the Bible. God's message to us is to plant seeds of love wherever we go. Kindness, goodness, caring, smiles, friendliness, helping. We need to do that wherever we go. Well, maybe that did make a little sense to me. So the message that I'm trying to convey here, and that I understand after reading these Bible verses, and that I will hope to convey to you, is that wherever we go, we need to plant seeds. Sometimes those seeds aren't going to do very good. But wherever we go, we're going to need to give a chance of God's love, God's kindness and goodness to be sown or planted. So I know that sometimes we get big tomatoes, sometimes we get little tomatoes. And sometimes when we sow our love and our kindness and goodness, we're going to get big responses and we're going to get little responses or no responses. But that's our job as Christians, as loving people, to sow God's blessings to others.
Let us pray. Dear God, thank you for loving us and for planting seeds of your love inside of us. Help us to learn to sow them with happiness and joy like Farmer Willow, scattering the blessings of love everywhere that we go. And all God's children say,
Amen.